Metal Cardbot Blastrain. It is finally time to look at this guy. This is the figure that you've probably seen on YouTube a whole bunch this past year because everyone was talking about how amazing it is, and I'm not going to be saying anything different. So why not add my voice to the cacophony? Because I'm sure people will care. But yes, this is Metal Cardbot Blastrain. This guy is just incredible. So good. And once again, I'm going to apologize in advance this time that just things being what they are, importing Korean figures. Wow, our upstairs neighbors are particularly horrible today. Things being what they are right now, importing figures from Korea to the US is cost prohibitive, let's say. And it's definitely been a problem with me because there have been a lot of things that I really want to get, felt like I could never get. And thanks to holiday money, I spent more than I really wanted to and should have on a couple of figures that are still on the way as of this recording. I apologize to be looking at the really cool stuff that I kind of... It's just a huge pain to get for even a semi-reasonable price right now. But hopefully in the future, this will not be the case. So for now, at least, I just want to talk about this guy because he's really cool. So I do not remember how he arrived. I think he came in the box in his fully dressed up mode, but I don't remember for sure. So what I'm doing instead is I'm just doing this. We're starting in this mode with the train cars, the card on the side, this thing we'll get to in a second, and the core robot. So this is how we're doing it to start. And yeah, this is an incredible set. Even the card, like, it's still big and annoying, but this is so much more reasonably sized than a lot of other Metal Cardbot figures. At least current modern ones. So I appreciate the fact that this is not enormous, but also it's actually a really cool accessory, so he's going to be wearing this in his other mode, because this really doesn't incorporate into this mode at all, which kind of, I don't know, I feel like maybe there was a way they could have done that, but oh well. We'll look at that more in a minute. Take a quick look at this thing. This thing is, I think it's supposed to be like a little drone or something like that, and it's cute. I like the black and gold chrome with the red, and you get this little bit of metallic green up there too, which I guess is for like eyes or lenses or whatever, but yeah, this is just kind of a silly little accessory that doesn't really do anything currently. So to store it, I'm going to bring the train cars over here, and I believe this is the one that it goes in. So I'm going to pop open, there's little tabs on here, pop this open, and this train car has them too, but each thing is actually different. So you can see they are for specific things. This we're just going to leave for now. This is where the drone goes, and this just, there's a little tab on the underside here, little slot here. This will tab over this. So you nestle this over here, and then this will slip down, and it's not lining up right. This will just shift down there, close up, and that hides that. Now, from the outside, both of the train cars are pretty much the same. It's just there are screw holes on this side for this one and this side for this one, and the cleaner sides are here and here. So they are effectively the same, a slight mirror of each other. So we're just going to look at one. It is effective for what it is. It's got that black and red color scheme with the gold trim, which looks good, a little bit gray, and you have a little bit of, I guess what you could call articulation in the connector bits between cars, because these do actually have little plugs and hitches so you can connect them together. And we'll see more of that when we get to the proper full alt mode, but I don't know, I like that. It gives you just a little bit of extra bend, because normally it would bend to that degree, but if you use that click, you get a little bit more. So, train car articulation, yay! And yeah, I don't know, I like how this looks kind of like futuristic, modern, but also old-timey. Like, it's just so, like, it's very greebled, but it's also ornate. which I just think is a neat combination. Anyway, yeah, it's a train car. Don't know what else to say about it, so put that off to the side. And now we'll look at the core robot himself. And this is very cool. And as you can see, pretty nicely articulated. We will look at that more in a moment. But this guy is really cool on his own. Very, very cool looking. I really like the black and red, again, with the gold that's being used here. But you also get some hints of white now, and like the thighs and the fists and the face, the little bit of gray here and there. Very cool. Again, kind of this interesting mixture of looking old-timey and ornate and modern and greebly. And this is a neat robot. You've got a little bit of variance you can do with some of his stuff, particularly the shoulders. These are ratcheted, so you can angle them down if you want. You can have them going like straight out. You can also click them up so that they're more angled, which I actually think looks cooler. And yeah, very cool. He's got stuff going on back here. This thing, you can kind of, like, you can leave it out like this. Guess why? Or you can bring it down. The problem with bringing it down is the waist swivel is right here. And so if you bring this down, it will get in the way of the waist swivel, but then you can just angle it out, so it's not that big a deal. But if you don't like the look of that being down, you can also bring it up, in which case it sticks out too far, or you can angle it down, which is kind of what I've been doing. But yeah, you've got this whole thing sticking out in front, which is a little bit severe, but it's still cool. Like the robot overall, I don't think this gets in the way of anything. It doesn't stick out any more than, say, Sky Gallop's nonsense did, I don't think, so it is what it is. And the head is, you know, typical metal cardbot. It's faceplate, somewhat angry eyes. It's got the similar vibe and aesthetic going for it. Here, though, it's got a little bit of a conductor-looking thing going with like the hat and the what kind of looks like they're supposed to be either train lights or signal lights on the head crest there. I like the color mix up here with the red, black, gold, white, chrome gold, metallic green. That metallic green is really nice. And yeah, I don't know, it looks good. I love when they do this with the faceplates, where you've got like these slight little molded details inside the faceplate, so it's not just one smooth piece. It just adds a little bit more visual interest there. And also I like the angle of the faceplate, how it kind of points out a little bit. I don't know, something about that's neat. Even the chin has like a cow catcher from the front of a train kind of vibe, kind of like this thing. The articulation on this guy is wild, especially for a Korean figure like Metal Cardbot or any others, really. So the head is kind of my one disappointment. It is Masterpiece MP10 style, where you've got the rotation, you've got up and down, both decent, but it's not a ball joint, so you don't get side-to-side motion. Also, the head, as you can see, it's supposed to rotate around and slide down, and then this comes up for the vehicle mode. And yes, you absolutely can rotate things around to give them kind of like a weird train Gerwalk mode. The problem I have with this, though, is like this doesn't lock in as well as I would like, so it's really easy to push down accidentally in vehicle mode. And this doesn't lock in as well as I'd like, so it's not that hard to accidentally nudge the head down in robot mode. It is what it is, but I do wish this was a ball joint so you could get angles on it instead of just left, right, up, down. Now, the shoulders can go all the way around. They can go all the way out. If you want to incorporate the transformation joint, you can also get like a kind of inward butterfly motion, though it starts to look really awkward if you go out more than like just a tiny bit. But you can do it. You get bicep rotation, you have double jointed elbows that go all the way in. You also, for no reason, like in terms of any kind of transformation thing, you get fist rotation. That's just there, which is really cool. You get, this thing kind of gets in the way, but you do get waist rotation, and as you saw, if you want, you can use this joint here for an ab crunch. That's really cool that the transformation gives him an ab joint. You've got this butt flap here that can also kind of go out of the way a little bit. If you get the ab crunch involved, it can go out more. And that gives you clearance for the hips to go forward. They can go a little bit more than 90. Going back, if you have stuff out of the way, they can go back to almost 90. If you have stuff in the way, like if this ab crunch isn't down, that's as far back as the butt plate can go, so that means the legs can go back about that far. You got all the way out. Thigh, whoop, we haven't gotten to that yet. Thigh rotation. 90-degree bend at the knee. Unfortunately, the one kind of thing with this guy in terms of look that's a little bit is this, the idea that he's got these like really tiny thighs. So yeah, it would be nice if the knee was a little bit lower, but whatever. It still looks cool. Doesn't really bother me. It's just a thing to note. You also, as you saw, have rotation at the ankle or above the ankle, which is cool. You've technically also got this motion here, though I don't really think you need it. But like that's super cool. And then for the ankle, foot, toe, whatever, you can actually wiggle the toe a bit and you get some toe tilt. It's not ankle tilt per se, so you're not actually doing any real ankle tilting, but still, for aesthetic purposes and just general posing, pretty darn cool. I actually think the Core Robot is very neat. And now for the weapon, it is a gun. You've got this unsightly bit on the side here, which is for the alt mode. I don't know what else to say about this thing. I like that they made the tip in gray. That's kind of cool to separate it out a little bit. It's fine. It doesn't look bad. Doesn't look amazing either, but he holds it and he looks cool doing it. So there is all of that. Now, size-wise, he is actually a little bit bigger than, well, a little bit nothing. He's like more than a head taller than Black Hook. So this on its own is pretty darn substantial. Not as big as Heavy Iron, obviously, but this guy's, a truck plus trailer. And since we just looked at him, let's bring him back out. So here he is with Sky Gallop. He's in his Centaur mode. The Centaur mode does not add any height to Sky Gallop, so still just a bit shorter than Blastrain's Core Robot. He is noticeably bigger than Tobot v Wild Chief. And for some slightly more non-Korean comparisons, here he is with some regular Transformers. Specifically a Deluxe, Tall Deluxe, and a Blockies, just because I think they're neat. Okay, so I mentioned this has no thing to do here, so we're just going to wait on that for now. But it is time to do the thing with this guy. And then we'll do the vehicle mode at the end. But doing the thing, I'm going to take the gun out of his hand. Come on. The handle folds up. Then the entire barrel section folds around. Oh, good. Our upstairs neighbors seem to be drilling. Fantastic. Hopefully that's not being picked up by the microphone. There is a kind of whatever you want to call it in the top of the barrel here that will go around this bit. So that all tucks in. Now, I'm going to take the train trailer or train car, pop one of these open. We're going to take the drone out and put that off to the side. Close that back up. And then we're going to take the other one, pop that open, and you know it's the right one because it doesn't have that big block there. And then this piece now will settle in here, and it just kind of uses these bits on the side here to friction in place. But it'll hold. It's also not too difficult to take out, so I just put that in there, close that up. And now, also want to take this and flare that out. So, for this thing, what we're going to do is rotate the head 180 degrees. I'm going to straighten out the arms. And now, actually going to rotate the arms 180 degrees. Just bring them out for now. Rotate the waist 180 degrees. Bring out the wheels on the sides of this piece, bring this down, and then flare this out. Unfortunately, it doesn't clip or friction in place in the outward position, but you can bring that out. We're going to kind of leave it at an angle for now, just for clearance down here later. You want to take the torso and slide the whole thing back, and that just kind of recenters things. You could leave it out like this for the core robot mode, but it looks a little weird. So when you slide it back, it looks much more normal. But anyway, slide that out. This panel flips up and is supposed to kind of tuck under here to keep this from moving, which you can do, but we'll get into this more later. But like, you can also move this out of the way if you want to give it a little back crunch. So do all that. We will do the legs next, I think, actually. So going to straighten out the feet, rotate the feet forward, and they end up like this. And then you can also kind of angle these forward if you want. You could leave it like that. I prefer to angle it forward, but it doesn't like lock in or anything like that. Then you want to push this little button on the side just below the knee here, and that allows you to slide this whole thing up, and that will lock into place. And you also want to make sure the thighs are straight when you do that. So push that in, slide it up, and you'll notice as it slides up, it also kind of shifts outward slightly. So that does that. Now this can come down, and there we go. There is the lower body. Now for the rest of the upper body, you want to curl in the arms a little bit, and then these red pieces here are on a slider, so you slide those forward. Start bringing this down, and then you want to curl the arm up the rest of the way, and there are some tabs and stuff. There's a tab here that goes into this black bit just underneath the red piece, and then there's a tab here that'll tab into the side of the engine here. It's hard to see in this light, but it will go. So bring this up, make sure everything is straight. That's all up and in position, and then bring this all in, and that will tab into place on the side. They really had to start drilling today. Okay, bring this in, tab all that in, and that kind of fills in the chest, and then these shoulder pads can come down like so. And that is the core. And we'll do this now because it'll be easier to show it. I want to bring these bits down a little bit and bring these back a little bit. And this will just go over the head and clamp down with these circular, like this tab here goes into this slot on top of the head. These little circular bits will go around these little divots on the side of the head. And there we go. And then just bring these up the rest of the way, and that gives you the helmeted head. And now this whole thing will go off to the side so we can bring in the train cars, and these do some cool stuff too. This will pop apart. You can actually see the seam here. What I like to do is hook a finger on this gray piece here, because this does slide up, but I prefer to do it manually rather than have the transformation do it. So just gripping this, gonna pop that apart. This gray piece flips down. This red piece flips out, and oh, look at that. Now the gray piece will slide up, and this red piece pushes back. And there is one leg. This piece, going to take, you don't have to do this, but I prefer to do this. Take this piece and rotate it down manually. Like I said, you don't have to, but I prefer to. The hitch folds up. This entire back section here kind of pulls out to untab from inside here. And it all comes down. Rotate 180 degrees, pop this door open, and then flip out the big boy fist. Close that up. Now this is my favorite part actually of this, the shoulder transformation. It's almost like cocking a shotgun, which is just so weird, but I love it. So you push the red piece back and then pull the gray piece forward. And I love how much that shifts things around. I just think that's really cool. And that is one arm. This thing, same deal. Pop it apart, and I'll show you if I don't hold the gray piece, it'll end up pulling it out for you. If you want to push it back in, there's this little nubbin here. You want to push that in order to slide that down, because that pops out and locks this into place. So just be wary of that. But anyway, fold that out. Fold that out. And with this slid up, that pushes back. And then here, rotate that. Though, we'll just leave it to show you. So show it on this side, but like this flips up, this pulls out and flips down. This opens, this flips out, and then closes back up. Rotate 180 degrees, push in, pull out. And just as a comparison, you can see like just how much that shifts the shoulder mass around. I really love that. Okay, there we go. And now to combine everything, we'll just, so I don't have to change the camera right now, we'll do this first. So these bits, these just slide down over what were the shoulder pads. So that slides down and will click into place. And you can actually use that shoulder pad as articulation. So there is that, and I'll just bring this out a couple of clicks. We'll leave it like that. So if you don't rotate this manually, you just slide it down like this, and then you can bring it out. That actually might be easier, so maybe I'll start doing that from now on. So there we go. There's the Mom Said It's My Turn on the Xbox mode. And now for the legs, there are these tracks in these gray pieces here that match up with some bits on these red pieces back here. And this just lines up. You want to push this down, like have this sitting down all the way before you slide it back, but push this, like have this down and slide all this back, and that will click into place. And on this side, have it down and slide back, click into place, and there we go. There, in most of his glory, is Metal Cardbot Blastrain, and this thing is huge and very cool. I really love the armored up mode. I like how it still calls to mind that original form with the black and red and gold, and of course the obvious train motif, but like it really bulks out in some interesting and cool ways. I really like how the shoulders again work, and like it's so ornate now. I really like the front of the train having this ornamentation on it, but then like the detailing on the forearms, basically, of the smaller robot mode, it actually kind of lines up to create this almost like crest-looking thing here, and it definitely keeps this gold line going visually around the sides, which is super cool. This actually kind of evokes what's going on with the head, which we'll look at in a minute. And yeah, this is all just very cool. In case anyone was curious, you can actually give the gun to the combine mode, because the handle fits. It does fit in the fist. It's really tiny in there, but he can hold it if you want him to. And yeah, this is just incredibly cool. Like all the way around, he looks great. And this is also where I was saying if you wanted to, you could move this back one so that you could use that ab crunch as like a back click. And I actually think that looks a little better. It just makes it looks like he's leaning forward slightly if you don't use that. And so if you use it, then it gives you a slightly more dynamic angle on him. And also we're going to bring that back a click. So there, see, he just looks very cool, very dynamic. The head is the core robot head wearing a new hat, but it's a really cool, giant, ornate hat. I actually really like how the front of this is designed to look like a train. Like this whole shape is very front of the train shaped. And you've got the two lights and like the crests up here, the little cowcatcher down here that really kind of mirrors what's going on down here. Especially if we were to flip this forward, you can see a little bit more of that shape there, which I just think is really cool. I like the continuing motifs. But it looks really good. I, again, like how this all comes together. The gold chrome is great. The only gripe I have with the hat is I wish it plugged in a little bit more solidly, because it does tend to want to do this. So if I move the head, like if I angle the head down, it ends up pulling the brim down over his eyes a little bit. So I have to either brace the back of the head like this, or what I'll usually do is pose the head and then just kind of pull up gently on the hat to make sure it's not blocking his eyes, which is not the worst but I just wish that I didn't have to do that. Okay, for articulation, the head articulation is exactly the same. It goes up and down, it rotates left and right, and you do not get any angling or anything like that, and the hat can sometimes pull down over the eyes, which I don't like. The arms can go all the way around. They can go out on the shoulder joint, or the shoulder pad joint, which does end up knocking into the head. So like this is as far as you can really go, and it's kind of pushing against this, so I don't like that. So if you don't want stuff to crash into other stuff, this is as far out as the arm goes, which is a little bit more limiting. Also worth noting, the forward and backward motion on, I think it's this arm, when you do it, it tends to unplug this thing. Like that is just undone now. On this side, it holds together a lot better. I don't know why it wants to pop out on this side, but that's why I'm holding the chest when I'm doing this, because I just don't want things to pop out. But anyway, you get a bicep rotation, which you saw during the transformation. The elbow bends to 90, and this does not go forward anymore, so this is as far as that goes. You do not get a wrist rotation. I kind of feel like they could have worked one into this, but they didn't. It's just kind of a solid piece. So, no wrist rotation. You do still get the waist rotation, however, it is conditional. So, if you have this up in place, which is to prevent this from detransforming itself, then you're not getting any waist rotation, because this piece is attached below where the waist rotates. You can still push past it, and it'll push this piece out of place. But yeah, this piece is in the way. So if you bring this down, then you get the waist rotation. And then also this skirt is above the waist rotation, so as you rotate it, this is going to need to come out. But you do technically have waist rotation. As mentioned, you can use the ab crunch transformation joint as a back crunch, but you don't get any forward ab crunch in this mode. The legs, this is where my main disappointment comes in. So they can go forward a bit, but these bits are so much bulkier now, you're not really going any more forward than that. They can go back a little bit, they can go out, not quite as far as before, but still pretty decent. The thigh swivel, because these are now inside the original thigh swivel is like inside this piece, you're not rotating those thighs. You could extend this back out to get thigh rotation, but that kind of doesn't look right. Like this hides it a little bit. If you have this guy transformed as is in the instructions, you are not getting any thigh rotation up here. What ends up happening is you get that rotation down here. What was the ankle rotation in the core robot, which that's cool. I like that they accounted for that. Problem is they did that thing where it's below the knee joint. So you get 90 degrees on the knees, and then if you want to rotate the thigh, you get that below the knee swivel, and I just don't like below the knee swivels. I would rather they do that and make the figure than not make the figure if it required that, but it's still just a little disappointing that they couldn't have a thigh swivel above the knee. But it is what it is. And for the ankles down here, you can use that joint for the train car as an ankle tilt. You only get the one click in either direction, but you do get a click. And for some inexplicable reason, they can go back too? I don't really understand why, especially because when you go back, you lose the ankle tilt, because now it's kind of sandwiched between these pieces here. But it's an option. So yeah, articulation on the combine mode is not as good as the core robot, but still pretty darn good considering the size and bulk of this guy. Alright, time for card shenanigans, finally. So, the way this works, you got the illustration of Blastrain there, looking cool, posing in a way that he can't really do in the combine mode because his fists don't rotate, but it's not that incorrect. But just, once again, as with all these things, pop off the card, and you're left with this chunk. And this chunk, I like to do it this way, so just bring things out on this black hinge and then bring these gray bits back. And then split it apart. And then I like to do this because you got all these screws on this side. So do this, and then lastly you can flare these bits out and you get really big and nasty looking claws. I really like these accessories. And these will clip onto the sides of the forearms. And he gets all Wolverine-y. It's maybe a little bit silly in how big these claws are, but you do have the option to keep them in like that. You can, if you want, flare them out. You can do like a... You can curl them in almost like their hands. Something that you could also do, which I was playing around with before when I got this guy, is you could push the fist back in and connect the claws. And then it kind of looks like, it's not exact, but it kind of looks like he's got claw hands. You can also fold the claws in if you want to do that. So it kind of looks like he has claw fists. I don't know. He is not without a few little caveats, but he is still super cool. I mean, just look at that. This is an incredible figure. I absolutely love him. I feel like it's kind of obvious why he was pretty close to the top spot in my top 10 of 2025. And now when he's all combined up with the train cars, he is very big. Absolutely gigantic next to Black Hook. Also completely eclipsing Sky Gallop. Stands well above Heavy Iron. Though if you mistransform Heavy Iron and extend his legs, they're a little bit closer in height. He's way bigger than Wild Chief. Surprise, surprise. But of course I've got to bring in my boys. My favorite Korean combiner still, thus far anyway. And that is Tobot v Big Troll. And Big Troll, I mean, if you ignore the helmets, they're almost the exact same height. Obviously, if you look at the shoulders, Big Troll goes higher, but I don't think that really counts as height. But I will say, for all my gripes about Blastrain's articulation, Big Troll's articulation is way more limited, and if I can still consider this guy my absolute favorite combiner for Korean figures, then, what is a little bit of unfortunate knee articulation, or rather thigh rotation? And to really drive home the point of just how enormous this thing is, here we've got a Tall Deluxe, Regular Deluxe, and a Blockies figure. There's Quake, who is maybe slightly less than Voyager in height, is about up to his knees. And we're going to turn this guy into his train mode. So we're going to start by disconnecting all of the stuff we have connected. So we're going to slide off the arms. And yeah, in hindsight, it really does seem easier to just straighten these out first. So pop off the arms, slide out the legs, and I'm doing that by bracing here and pushing up here because this whole thing is part of the foot. So bring that out, and I'm going to bring these down so that we can pop this open and remove this. Core Robot we'll save for the end. I'm going to start with one leg, straighten that out, bring that down, fold that in, bring that up, and then push this little bit in so you can slide this in. And that is one half of the train car. I'm going to pop this open, and this is where this goes. So we're going to bring this in here, put all that in there, and this will not... Did it the wrong way again. So this will go in like this, and just kind of... There we go. Now it settles in, so that will peg onto there, and then these just come back, and then this will close up. That is that, and then we'll finish the train car by doing the same arm. So push the gray piece in, pull the red piece out, rotate the arm 180, fold in the fist, close that back up, and then this comes all the way up, and this will come in and peg in there. And then fold down the hitch, and now these two bits will clip together. And that is one train car. And now, because we're going into vehicle mode, we actually do want to take out the folded up gun in here. So there we go. And these are both done for now. For this piece, the gun, all we're going to do is fold out like that, I think. Gonna fold this little bit down like that. Okay, this guy. So, going to basically go back into the core robot, kind of. Close all this up, flip that up. The legs, I believe you actually want to keep extended. Actually want to keep these like this. Yeah, you want to keep these like this. Rotate 180, and now you want to take this red piece here, and this whole thing flips back around. This secondary hinge is very tight, and it's a little nerve-wracking to do this, so I prefer to kind of brace here so that like this hinge isn't taking all of the stress and pressure. So just kind of brace and fold this back around. Really nerve-wracking doing this. There we go. So gently, carefully do that so that this folds in. This all comes together, and the legs will peg together using big chunky pegs. The arms, you want to untab them. You want to make sure you untab them from the torso, because otherwise this can't slide. You want this to slide back into the core robot position. Since the core robot head is already facing this way, push that down, pull this up. I'll probably have to do that again as this goes on, but now you want to straighten out the arms and bring these forward. Rotate the arms. There we go. Rotate the arms so that the ornate bits are facing up, and then this whole thing will line up like that. Unclip this panel so you can bring the arm out. And again, going to bring all this down, rotate that 180, make sure that's slid forward, bring down the shoulder pad so it's all lined up. Line all of this up and untab that. Bring this like this. These bits will fold out and around. Oh, no. Okay. You do not want to rotate the waist 180 from the core robot mode. You want the butt facing back because these wheels go on the bottom. But these go in like this, and this will go around like this. And you want to do these bits first because there's a little bit up here that this flap will go around. So bring these in, and these will tab into these little tabs here. And there's little slots on the gray piece here. So those come in like this. And that all sandwiches together. These come back around and peg and clip together. With the feet like this, what you want to do is you actually want to bend what become the combined mode knees. Bend all of these up, and these red pieces will cover up these silver and green bits here. And you can see also this completes that gold line, which is pretty cool. And now, with all this done, I'm going to bring down one of these little flaps here so that we can... Okay, it goes this way. I did have it wrong the first time, so got to bring this down the rest of the way. And there's these tabs on either side of this red piece that will tab into the black piece here. So do that, and then bring this other flap down and tab that in there, and that locks everything together. And there is the engine mode, which is actually pretty cool. I like how this comes together. It hides some of the detailing for both the core robot and the combined mode, which is really cool. It looks neat. Again, looks ornate and old-timey, but also kind of futuristic at the same time. And I also really like how this stuff comes together to kind of just hint at both the combined mode chest and head and like the core robot detailing for like the head all at once. Like that's cool. So yeah, this is very neat. Let me get the train cars. So as you would expect with the train cars, you just link them up. You just peg the little bits into the openings on the respective pieces, and you've got this very large train that actually does roll pretty reasonably well considering all the stuff attached to it. This is super cool, and once again, can't do anything with this. It is what it is. But yeah, this is so cool. I absolutely love Blastrain. I really do wish that, see, this thing just does not want to stay. I really wish that clicked into place a little more solidly. Size-wise, it's a train, so I don't really know how best to do comparisons, but it's big. I mean, it's, you know, a thin, basically stick linked together, but for what it is, it's big. And for a slightly more similar thing, size comparison, here he is with Heavy Iron. And yeah, Heavy Iron looks a little bulkier, but I think overall there's more mass for Blastrain. And if we bring in what have become standard size comparisons, the regular deluxe, tall deluxe, and Blocky's figure, yeah, you can see this is very big vehicle mode, very big train. This is an absolutely amazing figure. Definitely worth getting and having and messing around with. It is so cool, so fun, so much stuff to do. The transformation is really cool. I really like the combination. The articulation is great, especially the core robot. It just really stinks that it is so cost prohibitive to get a hold of right now. Not that it was cheap before, but it's so much worse now. But that is enough of my going on about this, because this has been a very long video compared to what's been going out lately. Thank you all for watching. Feel free to chime in down below with your own thoughts. I always enjoy hearing from you all. And I think, for the time being at least, I'm done with recording metal Cardbot figures, because I don't have the others that are in the mail currently yet. So next time I'm going to deviate from the Korean stuff just a little bit, but I'm sure we'll be getting back to it eventually.